This is the video all about the Ren Fair market. Hello and welcome to the chaos. This is the video all about the Ren Fair market. My cat is coming up and bothering me. Cat, I don't want you on me right now. Go away, Charlie. Go do something else. So this past weekend was the Ren Fair. My first Ren Fair to vend at, and we're going to go over it. We're going to look at some clips. I've got my report pulled up from my square, and we're just going to have a good time. So let's talk about Ren Fair. Hello and welcome to Ren Fair. It is the first day. We've just been open for a few minutes so far, and we are all set up with our magical menagerie of pets ready to go. We've had a few people come and look so far. But we're just getting going, just getting started. So I'll check in as often as I can. Don't want to kill my battery though, and let you know how it goes. Okay, so you saw a few clips. Most of those my mom got, actually, because I didn't take the time to go out and film very much. I filmed a little bit of myself as a tent vlogging, but other than that, I just kind of focused on try to sell. I can't talk this morning. I just focused on trying to sell as much as I could, and I didn't leave the tent very often. The second day, I did get to leave a little bit and go see some shows and stuff. So before we jump into the report on the sales themselves, I'll just give you my impressions of the Ren Fair. So this is the second time that this Ren Fair has happened in this area. It's called the Forest of Fae, which is a great name. And I believe it's like one woman and her daughter running it. I'm not sure how many other like helpers they have, but there was just those two ladies that were kind of in charge of everything. And it's on their private property. I think last year, I was hearing from some of the other vendors that last year they only did one weekend, so it was a little bit smaller. And but they wound up having bigger crowds. Now, that was the first year, so it was a novelty, so there might be some of that in there too. This year they did it on two separate weekends in November. I only went to one of them. In retrospect, I wish I had gone to both, but that's okay. Let's see what else interesting about the fair. So for it only being its second year in a row, I think they did a pretty good job of hosting the Ren Fair itself. I have a different opinion on the Ren Fair as a vendor, but let's talk about the Ren Fair as an attendee first. So it was not huge, but the way they have it set up on this like hillside going down through trees and stuff made it feel like a bigger space than it was. It felt spacious. It felt like there was a lot to explore. So that was fun. They had a lot of performers that were really cool. So they had this one group come in that had, I think, 4 of these huge draft horses. Absolutely enormous, like 19 hand high draft horses, big horses. And they did a show riding them around the ring and doing tricks on their backs and gymnastics and things. And it had a little bit of a comedy twist to it, as many Ren Fair performances do, it was a really fun show. They had a group of pirates that actually had a ship on wheels. It's like built around some kind of a truck bed or something. So They had a sword fight show there. I didn't get to see that one. I wanted to, but I got distracted and missed the time on that one. But then they also did a show where they were singing sea shanties from the side of it. They had a mermaid sitting on the side while they were singing, and so that was really fun. They had a mermaid duo who were set up in a little pool in the corner, um, singing and doing things like that. They had this one guy who was like a bubble wizard, and he just said it was just the bubble show is what he called it. But he would go around the fair before his show was set to start, and he had this little bubble gun blower, like it's like a dart gun blower, but it blew bubbles, and it blew those bubbles that are filled with like smoke from the fog machines. And he would just walk up and down like the Pied Piper bubbles saying, "Come to the bubble show! Bubble show starts in 5 minutes," or whatever. And he would get a crowd of kids following him. And he was actually just down the road from me, so he performed like 4 or 5 times a day, and I was able to catch most of his performances. Um, okay, sorry about that. Let me make sure my mic is still on. Yes, we're still green. Okay, sorry about that. My 3D printer was having issues, and I went to go fix it, and I paused the video, and then when I came back, I forgot to unpause the video, and I sat here and talked to you guys for like 5 whole minutes and recorded absolutely none of it. So I'm gonna try to remember what I talked about before I realized that I was not actually recording. So the bubble guy was the last thing I think I was talking about. And his show was fun. He made giant like tunnel bubbles, and he used nets to make big clouds of bubbles and dropped them all over his audience. And the kids were having a fantastic time. They absolutely loved him. And his final bit of his performance, he would make a mound of bubbles in his hand and set them on fire. And the kids just loved it. So there were a lot of fun things going on at the fair, a lot of fun vendors. I did get a chance to wander around. I bought a lot of stuff, probably more than I should have, but it's Ren Fair and I was having fun. So I got a little squirkly pet, which is, I think it's made with like silicone caulk or something like that. Um, but it's piped out of a piping bag like frosting, and it's colored with mica and glitter and things like that. And she like mounds up the frosting and makes like this little creature, puts eyes on it, and gives it wings or other little accessories. And it's all done in sort of a blind bag fashion, where she had the steamer trunk open with all of the little pets in these little velvet bags. And you would close your eyes and just like go by vibes and see which pet called out to you. And that was the one you took home. So um, myself, my daughter, my sister, and her friend all went and got some all at the same time, and it was so fun. And we all got little creatures and colors that we would have chosen for ourselves if we had them to look at and to pick from. So that was great. Um, that was really cute. And a lot of the vendors were doing things like that, where they were just very, very thematic, and which is one of the best parts about a Ren Fair. There was one booth I visited that I didn't buy anything, but I got her card. She does have a physical brick and mortar shop that I may go visit at some point, and she had these gorgeous calligraphy kits with quill pens with the metal nibs and then an actual feather as the pen, and pots of ink, and then it also came with sealing wax and the stamps for the sealing wax. It was very cool, this little calligraphy kit, and I was very tempted. I did get a pottery mug because I love mugs, and they were beautiful. Mine is like got like this dripping blue glaze over it, and it has a little silver unicorn stamped into the bottom. I bought two vests from the vendor right next to me. The type of like corseted looking vest that has ribbons that tie up the front to add to my costumery. She hand makes them all and uses like scrap fabric to do it, so they're all like patchwork of fun colors and just really pretty. And um, she was a very sweet and nice person to talk to through the weekend. So that was fun. And then trinket trading. If you've never been to a Ren Fair and you don't know what trinket trading is, everybody who comes, not everybody, but a lot of people who want to participate, bring little pouches of just stuff, just random stuff. So a lot of us vendors, especially those of us who have 3D printers, brought little 3D printed things. So I had acorn caps that had a hole in it because it was part of like a keychain set, but I just printed the cap so they could use that as like a necklace thing. I had dragon scales that also had holes in them to be strung into a necklace. I had these little potion bottles about this big, and I had these tiny little critters that are just like little bitty, so scrap filament type stuff. That was what I had. And then the guy across from me, he was an all 3D print booth, and his stuff, he had like these big gold coins, and he had these tiny little skulls. I'm trying to remember what else. He had like one other thing, I think. So, and then a lot of people also just had like these little things that you could probably get on Temu or Oriental Express or Oriental Trading. That's what it's called, Oriental Trading or something like that, like tiny little rubber ducks. Or just things that they'd made, you know, with beads, with acorns, with things like that. And then the people who attend the fair also come with a pouch full of little trinkets. A lot of them have made their own. There were a lot of those like tiny little jars that you can get from the dollar store to fill with glitter or stuff. There were a couple of people who had, you know, acorns and other things made with like natural materials. So just a lot of fun. And everyone who was participating in the trinket trade as a vendor had a sign on the outside of the booth that said trinket trading, and generally just had like a box or something that people could freely come in and trade. And they would just take one of their little trinkets and they would exchange it for one of our little trinkets. And then as they're walking past each other in the fair, they would also reach out from their pouch and say, "Here's a trinket. I like your costume." And then, you know, they would trade back and forth. So just a fun little thing. And you would wind up coming home with a whole bunch of just fun, random little stuff. And I actually do have a whole bag of trinkets that I will show you guys too. At the end of the video, I'll do a haul and I'll show you everything that I bought and all the trinkets that I came home with. And that'll just be a fun way to kind of end off the video. So that was attending the fair as an attendee. Now, attending the fair as a vendor, my experience was a little bit different. I do have to kind of keep them separate in my mind because I did enjoy the fair as a fair. I had a really good time, and I think this fair could go places. I think it could get bigger. Um, this is not my first Ren Fair that I've gone to just to enjoy. I used to live near Cincinnati, Ohio, and there was a fair, permanent fair there that had lots of built-ins, and they had the Tower of London, and they had like, and it's like a haunted house situation there, and they had a permanent like huge pirate ship that was like a stage for shows and had jousting and all the stuff, right? And there's another permanent one like that in Louisiana that I've gone to a couple of times now. That is just very large with permanent built-in stuff, very extensive, been going for years and years and years. This fair hasn't got to that level, but I could see it getting there. Like it is on its way. For being only its second year, is a good fair. So if you're in Mississippi or nearabouts and you want to attend a good Ren Fair, check out the Forest of Fae. It's a good fair. As a vendor, not as great. It's actually better though than I had originally thought. Up until just a few minutes ago when I went to double check, I thought that my vendor fee for this event had been $400. I don't know why I had that in my head, but that's been in my head for a while. It was not $400. It was $200, which is a good bit better. It could have been better than that. It could have been lower than that, but you know what? 200 for 2 days is not awful. Is not awful. So I'm a little bit happier with my results, knowing that it was kind of a blow to think I'd spent $400 on the table for what I wound up making. So let's talk about what I did wind up making. I have my square report in front of me on my computer, so if you see this weird light coming at me, that's why. Now, I have not found a way in Square to have it show item by item, like what time I sold things. If there is a way to do that, y'all can let me know, because I would love to be able to just say at such and such a clock, or you know, and during this hour I sold this many. That would be a cool report to pull up. So if you know how to do that and you can share that information, I would appreciate it. So I'm just going to read off of this report based on how I have it organized right now, which is by most items sold to least items sold. Summary at the top: 33 sales for the weekend. Sorry about that. I had an interruption. And now I'm going to have a coffee sip, so you get another interruption. Coffee. Okay, so 33 sales for the weekend. Actually, hold on. I need to check my 3D print. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about the interruption, but that print is already screwed up like 3 times now, and I'm paranoid. But it seems to be going better now. So 33 sales. That's where we were. So 33 sales for the weekend, which is not great. Is not great at all. I have had a lot of one-day events that have done double that. Gross sales for the weekend, $1,125. So then you take out my $200 booth fee, brings me down to $925. Food that I spent money on there, we spent $30 on food one day. We brought snacks for the rest of the time. So we're down to about 900, $895 on that. I'm not going to take out the things that I purchased because I purchased them just for myself. And if I had been attending the fair just to have fun, I would have still purchased them for myself. So I'm not going to take out that. Let me think. Was there anything else that I need to take out in particular? A tank of gas because they're driving back and forth. So it's another about $50 there. So yeah, so now we're down to about $850 for a 2-day event. Yeah, I mean, it was profit, but not great. So let's go down to what I actually sold, because that's what y'all are the most interested in. And if I have pictures of things, I will insert them if I can, so that you can see. Let me see, where should I put them in my little, let me scoot over. I'll scoot here, and the picture can appear here, so you can see what I sold. All right, so I sold 6 of my small Pokemon. Those are a variety of things. So I have my evolution pattern fits in that category. I have a Jigglypuff that goes in that category. Some of the Chunkymon go in that category. And then I took Poggy's Place Dragon pattern and modded it slightly into Dragonite and Charizard colors, and added a few little details like the like angry eyes on Charizard and the little antenna on Dragonite. Those all fit into that category of just small Pokemon is what I have them listed as. And they're $20 each. So 6 of those for $120 total in that category. The next one was 4 of the wearable dragons. This is Keely the Baby Dragon by Fox and Fae Crochet. And I did these in Baby Bear and Posh, with a 4.5mm hook. So they ran a little bit smaller. Well, they matched her pattern. And those dragons have a little bit of a chain loop, so it fits around your finger, and they'll sit on the back of your hand, and then their tail can wrap around and has another loop that can go on your pinky. So they just kind of perch there like a little bird. So those are pretty popular. 4 of those, they were $35 each. I did also make 2 of them in burnout blankets, so they were a little bit larger, and priced them at $45, but neither one of those sold. But I've got a few more markets coming up, so maybe they'll go there. The next was 4 times played on the claw machine. So the claw machine, I have Poggy's Place patterns in right now. They are her newest pattern group, the Critterlings. So she has her little critter patterns, which are about softball size. The Critterlings are a third the size of that. And I made them also in like Baby Bear, Posh, like the smaller Parfait Chunky, smaller yarn. So they came out about this big, and I put stress ball squishes in them. So when you squeeze them, bubbles popped out of either their mouth, or in the case of the unicorn, the butt. Those were $10. So it's $10 played you win, and it was played 4 times for those little squishies. It was pretty popular with the kids. The kids like the claw machine. Next, I sold 3 of my Will-O-Wisp lanterns. So those are the Will-O-Wisp pattern by Blue Paw Print Crochet. And I also 3D printed a little lantern to put them in. So they turned out pretty cute. They had a little chain that you could hang them from your belt if you wanted to. So it's sort of like a lucky cricket cage situation, but with a wisp in it. So 3 of those sold at $35 each for $105. Then next I sold 3 of my loaf kittens. So this is the Annie Caraway art pattern. She has her kittens in 3 sizes. So she has the loaf cat, loaf kitten, and Minnie. These were the kittens, so that medium kind of size. And I make them. These are the ones that I had made prior to Comic Con, to GalaxyCon. So they were sushi cats and a bumblebee cat and a butterfly cat, I believe, were the three that I sold. So those were $25 a piece. Then I sold two of the little mushroom babies. So if you saw my leading up to Ren Faire prep, these were some of the ones I made specifically for Ren Faire. So they are Madeline Mako pattern, the magnolia mushroom, and I sold two of those at $45 a piece. I sold two of Maeve the Moth. That's a Fox and Fae crochet pattern. $45 a piece for those as well. So two of those. I sold two of I call them cosplay hats. So I sold the one that looks like Link with the ears and the yellow hair, and then I sold the one that looks like Espeon. I still have my Flareon hat, but I do need to restock on my hats. Sold two of those. Then I sold for $15 one. Everything else is just one-offs. So for $15, I sold a tiny octopus. This is the All from Jade pattern, and it's one of the things that I just kind of use up tiny scraps of yarn. I do those octopus, and I do the mini Mabel the chickens. It's not Mabel. It's a free Instagram pattern. I'll show you. I'll put it up here, but it's like a chicken keychain. It looks like Mabel, but it's really small. So I use my scrap yarn just to make up quick little ones of those, so I can sell them for lower prices. Just kind of random critters. And that was an octopus. Then I sold I sold the Kuromi doll. So that one was $85. I did that one for my Share the Love Instagram challenge, free Instagram patterns. So she was a free Instagram pattern. When I did her burnout blanket, she came out this big. She was huge. She's gotten a lot of attention at various markets, and she finally found her home at this one. Then I sold one, just says $45 plush large miscellaneous. What would that have been? That one may have been when my daughter was in the tent running things. So I'm not sure exactly what that. If it was a miscellaneous, then I have a few little things that I've made as like pattern tests that just came out to that particular size, and so I just have them as listed as miscellaneous because I don't intend to like remake them. So I'm not sure what that one would have been. Then I sold one of the Flower Fae, so that's the Madeline Mako pattern. I used the Voodoo doll pattern as a base, just as a base doll, and then I combined it with the little flower pixie pattern from Cable and Canvas. I didn't follow the Cable and Canvas pattern exactly, but I kind of use it as inspiration. So the Cable and Canvas pattern it's like a little pixie, a little standing pixie with a skirt, and it has like a upside down flower as a hat. So I took that idea as a hat and just remade it in bigger for this doll to fit on the Voodoo doll by Madeline Mako. And then I color changed to give it a dress, and then surface crocheted to give it a little skirt. So I had I think 7 of those that I took with me, sold one for $45. Okay, then I have another miscellaneous $35 medium plush miscellaneous. So that was another one that was probably a pattern test for something, and it just happened to hit that $35 price range. I sold one Junimo for $25. I think that was my last Junimo. I think I'm all out of Junimo. I sold one of the little dragons for $25. Now I think this one was a free Instagram pattern. And it's just like it comes out about this big, and it's like that big around, little skinny dragon. I only made 3 of them, and I probably won't make any more off of that particular pattern because it's so small. It's just hard for me to get my fingers into that space. Like most of the dragon is a circle of 4. It was just really hard for me to do. It was cute. It turned out cute. It's just difficult for me to make. So I probably won't do another one of those. I sold one Christmas tree for $25. These are the Christmas trees that I made like 2 years ago prior to Christmas and have just been hanging out in my bags ever since. So I'm glad to see one of them finally go. It was the one that had all of the little sparkly pom-poms glued on it, and the little girl who got it was very happy to have it. I sold one of my snowmen. So these are also around the same time I made the Christmas tree. I made like a dozen of these snowmen, and I was down to 3 by the time of Ren Faire. So I just tossed them out there because, you know, you never know when they're going to find their home. And one of these little snowmen found his home. And then I sold one Leggy Frog. That's a $20 item. I sold one Kirby. That's another $20 item. And I sold one of my Sip Sprite bag charms. That was $15. Oh, and speaking of Sip Sprite bag charms, I actually had a visit on Saturday, the first day, from a wonderful, wonderful person who had messaged me on or had seen my video on YouTube on how to make the Soot Sprites and had made one of her own, and then messaged me on Instagram to show me the one she'd made. And it was like her first crochet project, and she was so excited about it. And it was so cool to meet her in person. Like that was the highlight of my day on Saturday. That was really fun. Okay, so that was all of my sales from the market. So there we go. That's the nitty gritty. That's what you wanted to know if you're here for sales reports. So that was that. I am going to close out this now so that my computer stops casting a weird light on my face, and I'm going to go gather up all of my goodies from the Ren Faire and show those off. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So now for the fun part of the video, the goodie haul. So let's show you what all I got. I'm going to start with my Squirkly, and I got my daughters here too so I can show you what they look like. So this is a Squirkly. I named mine Poppin'. It has little fairy wings. It has a magnet on it. So I stick mine on my 3D printer so she can keep an eye on my prints for me. This is my daughter's Squirkly. You can see the difference. Bright rainbow colors, also fairy wings in this one. I think we all wound up getting ones with fairy wings. Super cute. My sister got one that was black and green, like Slytherin colors, which is perfect for her. Let's see. Hattie named hers Epimeno, which I think she said means persistence in Greek. So those are super cute, and the whole process of picking one was just a lot of fun. Then I also got this absolutely gorgeous pottery mug, and you can see the silver unicorn right there. Absolutely beautiful. And I got 2 of these vests. This was the first one. And you can just see, I mean, they're just such good quality. It's like fully lined, really well made. So this one in purple, and then this one in like black and teal. And I want to take the ribbons out of them and find wider ribbon. I just think that would look really cool to have like a good like inch wide thick ribbon to close up the front of them with. I just think it would look cool. So that's my plan for those. So then the other things that I got are all these trinkets from people coming to trinket trade. The kids especially just adored trading for trinkets. So one of them actually traded me. This is one of the coins from the 3D printer who was across the way from me. So he did these little coins with his logo on them. So I got one of those. I got a little origami frog. Very cute. Let's see. I got an emperor penguin sticker. He may wind up on my laptop. I got this little acorn fairy. Let me hold her up so you can actually see her. So we've got this little flower. That's her little skirt. And then they use a wooden bead and an acorn cap to make her face. Super cute. The homemade ones were just adorable. I got this little guy, which I'm not sure what the down arrow means. Does that mean I'm a quest giver? I'm not sure. So that was fun. I got a little golden gnome, a 3D printed gnome. Another little 3D printed trinket is a skull. Like I said, lots of little 3D printed things. Oh, this one, little Fluttershy. So you see, trinkets can be basically anything. I got a little mermaid tail. I got a couple of mushrooms. Let me see. Did I get just two or did I get three? I think I got just two. So these two little hand painted mushrooms. I got a wand, a miniature wand. I had two of the tiny little like bottle trinkets, but one of the other kids, when they trinket traded, took my bottle. But I got this tiny little bottle, which is just a lot of fun. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of these, honestly. Some of them I think I can turn into stitch markers and just use them and have fun with them that way. So I got a whole pile of pirate treasure. Get all this out. Okay, so I got all of these. I can't. Plastic doubloons. So these are all just little plastic, like you'd find at kids, treasure pirate themed birthday parties or something. And then I got a couple of them that are actual metal doubloons. And this one that looks like the coin from the Pirates of the Caribbean. And then lots of little like glass tiles, like bathroom mosaic type tiles. Some of them painted or with glitter added. So let's see all of these. So I've got this one. There's a clear one painted with gold and then a little symbol put on the back. And I got this one painted to look sort of like a pizza. This one had glitter added to it. It's a little glittery glass tile. And then these two I think are just as they are, but they're like little mosaic tiles in sort of a blush pink color, which is really cute. Okay, and then I got this little manta ray, little pink manta ray. I got a bone. I got two little dinosaur skulls. They look like little T-Rex skulls. Aren't they cute? So I got two of these. And I got one little book. This is probably one that I'm going to turn into a stitch marker, but it's like one of those little foam books that you put in a tiny bookcase of The Magician's Nephew, which is one of my favorite books. The Chronicles of Narnia, honestly, top notch. I got a little plastic star bead. Another skull. This one is a resin. Little flat skull. If I put a hole in this, I could maybe make it into a stitch marker too. That'd be kind of fun. It's lightweight. A teeny tiny, absolutely teeny tiny 3D printed duck. A piece of obsidian. A teeny weeny little turtle. I'm not sure what this is made out of. But it's a teeny little sea turtle. And then finally, a little stone heart. So those were all the trinkets that I received from trinket trading. And that was my haul from Ren Faire. So I did have a really good time. Will I go back as a vendor? Maybe not. Maybe. If I can do both weekends next year, I think she said it was $350 if you did both weekends. If I did both weekends, that would be a $350 fee spread across 4 sale days. So that could potentially be workable. I think it just is going to depend on like how it falls on the calendar. I was gonna say unequivocally no, I wasn't going back, but that was when I thought that the fee had been 400. So for just the one weekend, but still 350 for 2 weekends with the sales that I did. I mean, if I only do $1,000 per weekend, is 350 still worth it? That's the question. And that's a question I'll have to answer for myself next year because I can't think about it right now. I've got other things I got to think about. So that's it for Ren Fair. That's a wrap of this video. Next weekend, I have coming up 2 markets in a row. So I've got Thursday night market in Meridian. It's a smaller one, but I generally do decently at that one, especially since it's a low table fee. And then I have the holiday market. It's the Merry Marketplace, I think. That's a Christmas market that I've been doing every year for the past few years, and that one's on Saturday. So that's my last 2 markets for November. I have one visit to the Lucky Rabbit in December, and then the Yule Market on the 20th of December, and that'll wrap it for the year. So I've got 4 markets left to end the year on. And then we will have a video where I kind of go over how my year has been and new things this year for my business and what I hope for next year. We'll have a wrap up of my totals for the year, total finances, total YouTube videos, total followers, total skeins of yarn used, all that kind of stuff. So that's, you got that to look forward to here in the next couple of months as we wind down to a close. And if I don't see you before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you enjoy your holiday. And that will be it for today. I will see you in the next one. Bye.